Thanks for listening to another episode of the Gifted Performance Podcast. If you're listening or watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, as well as hitting the like button and the notification bell so you never miss a video. If you prefer audio format, search Gifted Performance on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcasting service, and subscribe today. Make sure you also rate and review the podcast, as that helps us out tremendously. Enjoy the podcast and stay gifted. Welcome back. Another episode of the GPP, the Gifted Performance Podcast, the only podcast that provides you the knowledge and practical takeaways to improve your own general physical preparedness. We will start up top with my rosy-cheeked co-host himself, Dominic Kuza. How are you doing today, Dom?
I'm doing well. Thank you.
Doing well. And a special guest. I should have asked him before the recording started, but here we are. It has begun. It's Josh. He's got a last name. It starts with an L and you pronounce it
Lujan. There it is.
Lujan. Yeah. There it is.
Josh L. That works
Josh
too,
L,
man.
The man, the myth, the legend. They know him by his alter ego. Instead, he's tossing ice lances your way. Xaryu. Good to have you on. How are you, man?
I'm doing wonderful, man. That was great. But it's Fire Blast and Pyroblast because I'm a fire mage these days. Unless in TVC I'm Frost, so I guess that works. And then in retail I'm Fire. So there's a bit of division here. We'll have to get into that later.
These two guys here that you're talking to, we are some TBC Andes. So we stick on the TBC grind, the pinnacle of arena. Not that retail shit where matches last like 45 fucking minutes. I want to see one Nova, 2 Lances, and that guy needs to be dead.
Dude, I'm gonna give you some support on this. I actually really enjoy TBC. The reason I haven't been playing as much as when it came out is because no queues are happening at 2,500 MMR. Like I'll set a 10-minute queue. And that's not fun.
Fucking who? This guy over here. The problem is that I'm just too goddamn good at the game, and there's no one really on my level.
That's right. No, I mean, here's the thing is on retail, there'll be a lot of different variety of queues throughout the day. And on TVC, we're instantly getting into, or I guess it's the opposite. In retail, I'm getting instant queues all the time. TVC, there's never, a 10-minute queue is not fun for the stream, is basically what it comes down to. Yeah.
Yeah. So interestingly enough, here's a kind of just a random question because I haven't played retail in quite some time. The compositions that you see on retail versus TVC is pretty standard. Like you've got like your S tier compositions. Retail is a little bit more varied, right?
Well, retail, the metagame is undiscovered. It's not solved. Maybe is a better way to say it. Whereas on TBC, the same game's been out for so long on private servers. Everyone knows the best comps, the best strats, the best builds. Like it's a solved metagame, right? Whereas on retail, a new patch comes out and no one really knows what is the best. And that aspect is fun of retail, right? Like a new patch comes out and everyone's like, okay, what comps are the best? We don't know. Let's try this out. Oh, we're losing. This must not be very good. Let's switch it up. Oh, we're owning. This is pretty good. And then the streamers kind of, will start taking the meta in one direction and they start doing really well. Then that's what everyone else copies until they don't do very well. And then all of a sudden, so the metagame evolves with time depending on who does well and who doesn't do well. And that evolving state of the metagame is fun because it's always changing. But a lot of the times, it makes it so you don't really know what's actually good or bad until a few months down the road.
This is true.
After a patch.
Right there. So the name, I got to know the name.
Okay.
Xaryu. Was it something, we watched I think a lot of people, and we'll link it below if you haven't seen it, the 100K subscriber video. We all watched that, the start. I think you were like 12 or 13 years old, little baby Czar on there recording those first couple videos. The name, was it an auto generate? Was it something that you came up with? How did you arrive on that?
Man, I wish I had a really cool story.
Oh, no.
I should just make up a cool story so I can have one for situations like this, but I don't. Here's what happened. I wanted a name because I was like swapping servers back in like TBC or Wrath or something like 10, 15 years ago, however long it's been. And I wanted a name and I wanted it to sound cool. So I just slapped my keyboard and a bunch of like letters came out and I rearranged them a little bit. And that was Xaryu. It means nothing. It was very arbitrarily derived, and I slapped my keyboard and it like kind of came out, and then I think I put like an X at the start because X's were cool, or I thought they were 15 years ago.
All those
And
hunters running around with like X, Legolas X.
right. So yeah, it means nothing, but it's just that's what it is. That's what it is. So
I feel like that's
maybe
a
it's
decent story.
okay,
Like, he just
I'll take
smacked
that.
the keyboard and it came together.
Yeah, I'll take it then.
That's not bad, but definitely, if you had to maybe come up with a story there, and this may be something we come back to, but if you had to come up with a story there, like what direction would you go? Like maybe like I was 12 years old, I saw like a school bus sinking, and I like pulled a kid out, and like he was the only one that survived, and I was like, "What is your name?" And he was like, "My name is Xaryu." And I was like, "I'm going to dedicate my career after you, sir."
Yeah, let's go with that one. I don't think I can come up with anything better than that. That'd be great. That'll be my next answer. Gosh.
So the reason we actually brought you on the podcast here is because, top tier gamer, we want to talk about gaming the whole time, but you have done what a lot of people have tried. So you've kind of created, you've bridged this chasm between like the fitness world, which is where we operate, and kind of the gaming world. So give us kind of a rundown of what got you into both of those worlds. So we talked a little bit about gaming. Where did it all start for you on the fitness side? Because anyone who follows you on Instagram sees you do a lot of the bodyweight calisthenics, a lot of the gymnastic stuff. Were you a young gymnast, an aspiring gymnast?
No, I wish I was, because I loved gymnastic style training. I love bodyweight movement style training, and I never did gymnastics as a kid. I get that question a lot because of a lot of the stuff I do on Instagram with like planche or stalder press, pike press, handstand work, and people are like, "Oh, you must have done gymnastics as a kid." And I'm like, man, I wish that would have been great. No, I started bodyweight training more exclusively about two or 3 years ago. Before that, I kind of got into bodybuilding, but I guess let's start it from the beginning. So when I was really young, I think like third grade, my first fitness endeavor was running. I was a runner in like third grade, which I was pretty young, and there was this like lunch running program that my school had called Milers Club. It was pretty rad. So basically, if you ran a lap, you got a stamp on your like card. We all had little cards, and then they would count your stamps at the end of the day and then aggregate them for the entire year, and they'd put you on a leaderboard, a ranking system. So whoever ran the most would be rank one. And knowing me, I like leaderboards. I'm very competitive. I like pushing for rank one. So when that system came out, I was like, all right, I'm going to be rank one. I'm just going to put in the time, put in the work, put in the effort, and I'll eventually get there. So I ran as a little third grader. I ran my laps, and I hit rank one, and I loved running. So running was kind of like my thing. I did that third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, and sixth grade was middle school. Middle school started, and I joined like track and field and running and stuff. And it was like, totally what I loved doing. And then I got mononucleosis. It's like EBV, Epstein-Barr virus. And I was hospitalized. I had a kind of a case of athlete's asthma. So if I do too much cardio work, a lot of times my lungs aren't super hot. 15 years later, they're doing a bit better. So I'm happy about that. But I've had to really train breath work, movement, and stuff like that. But anyway, I was getting into running, and then I was hospitalized and stuff, and I came back. I was just not the same. So for a while, I kind of just dove into WoW. That's when I started WoW. It was sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade. I was playing a lot of video games, and I didn't really train much at all. And I saw that kind of affecting my health a little bit. And then in high school, I was lifting little weights, but I was still playing a lot of games. And then when I was about 20 years old, sophomore in college, at this point, I think I looked myself in the mirror, and I had one of those moments of like, I'm an adult now. I'm 20 years old. I can't let my health slip. And my parents were great role models growing up. They were both very active, and they were running and biking. And my dad did a lot of weights, and they were both in shape, and they both really emphasized health is a priority for adults, right? So as I got older and I became an adult myself, I was like, I need to prioritize my health. This is important to me, and I'm not doing that right now, clearly. So when I was 20, I did a bunch of research about how to build muscle, how to build strength, how to do all of these things. and I kind of dove into it. And I started with more bodybuilding style for many years, and I started getting into more strength work for some time. And now I've kind of delved more into the gymnastic movement practitioner style of training, and I've been really, really in love with that the last few years. So that's kind of the whole spectrum of it, man. But yeah, that's where we're at right now.
No, I dig it. I've been watching some of the content, the single arm ring pull-ups. That's one that I will let you have. But if you saw in the podcast invite, I did challenge you to a strict handstand push-up contest. So what I'll do is we got some handstand push-up work today at the gym. I'll record my set, I'll tag you, and we'll see what you got. So 210-pound beefy boy here. What are you weighing in at these days?
150.
Oh,
probably.
Bodyweight advantage.
Yeah, 150 is nice. You know, it's funny that you ask, because I was like 155, closer to 160, and I can feel the difference. And then also when I'm down to 145 or closer to 140, I can also like 150 even feels a bit heavy compared to when I'm closer to 140. So yeah, there's definitely that body weight advantage feels nice.
We'll see how it goes though. So biggest question that I had for you today, and this will probably take up the majority of our time here, was, you, and we said this earlier, it's kudos to you because you've done such a good job with it, of kind of like bridging that gap of creating that kind of synergy between the fitness space and the gaming world. And from me, when I look from the outside in, I see it as, and this is just my personal opinion, I want to get Dom to weigh in here as well, I see your success as being a result of you being a gamer who found fitness. You're not the fitness guy who's trying to push his agenda on gamers. When you speak to them about fitness, you have a very succinct and successful way to speak to them because, you speak their language. Is that something that was deliberate by you? Is it something that you just came upon? It was just natural for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the way you put that, of me being in the gaming space first and then kind of discovering something and wanting to share my love for it, is probably one of the reasons for success. I think maybe a big factor in that, right? Because if I was not a 15-time rank 1 player in a video game and I was just like, hey guys, go outside, they're like, no shit, dude, like I don't want to hear it from you. But for me to be like, hey, look, I've been playing video games for a long time, but I've been, and the thing that I kind of tell the community is, I've been feeling even better in my gameplay if I do a walk first, hit a workout, make sure I drink some water, eat some fruits, veggies, get 8 hours of sleep, connect a little bit, socialize, have that connection, and then hop into games. I'm feeling good, man. My sessions are better. Like I'm playing better. So it's like, if you guys want to play the best you can, and that's really what gamers care about, is playing the best they can, then maybe do these things first. And we call those the dailies, right? Do your dailies. Keep your IRL character strong and healthy. And that's one of those things that it was very authentic, right? I was the guy that needed to hear that at 12. I am the guy I'm talking to. And I think, I don't know, there's a quote somewhere, but like, be the guy that you needed growing up. And I think the motto, the messaging that I needed growing up was do your dailies from someone I looked up to. Because of course my parents can tell me, or my grandparents can tell me like, oh, make sure to do your chores or go outside or hit a workout. But when you're 12 years old, you don't listen to your parents that, as easily as you would listen to someone you aspire to be, or a role model or a content creator saying, hey, look, these are important things, like actually go and do them. Right. So yeah, I think it was the authenticity behind it, of that's actually what I needed to hear. I'm not bullshitting anyone by saying like, oh, do these things, but like, I'm not doing them, or something, or, you should really do this. I tried to do all of the messaging and branding in a way where I'm not pointing fingers. I'm saying, this is what's helped me. Done. All right. Like, maybe it'll help you too, kind of a thing. But I'm not trying to shame anyone for where they're at, because I was there, right? I think there's a level of empathy involved of, look, it's all good, even if you're not doing your dailies. But I'll be here when have that messaging sink in. Maybe it'll take 5 years. Maybe it'll never sink in. Whatever it is. But I think getting that message out there is being my most authentic self, because I know it's helped me and I know it can help other people. So just putting that content out there and seeing where it goes is with no expectation necessarily. Funny enough, the do your dailies concept, I had little to no expectation with that at all. We just put it out there as one random bit of content, and people really, really loved it. It's just like, oh, cool, that caught fire. And so yeah, it just kind of happened very naturally. We slowly kind of integrate a lot of the content more towards fitness with the Instagram content, and then with the workout live streams. And I think starting from the gaming end helped, but then just being really authentic and natural with it probably also really helped.
Yeah, those are the big pieces right there. That authenticity and that it's very natural to you. I had a guy I knew who was like a bodybuilder personal trainer who was like, listen, I got this new genius business idea where I'm gonna drop into like Fortnite streamers, like really popular Fortnite streamers. I'm gonna drop into their chats and just like promote fitness stuff. And like you said, it became this thing where he was like pointing fingers and he was like, yo, like you need to start training, you start lifting weights. And you said it best, like these people are like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, no one wants to hear what they're not doing, right? Like
Exactly.
A lot of the people know what they're not doing, but it needs to come off in a way that it's like, these are the things that might help you do what you actually want to do, right? Like if you're not feeling 100%, you have maybe gamer headaches, you're feeling lethargic, you can't be snappy and focused and sharp and alert. Like, yeah, have you gotten enough sleep? Are you just pulling all-nighters, drinking, Monster energy drinks or any energy drink, I suppose, and, pushing the sleep back and back and back, and your circadian rhythm's messed up and you're not drinking enough, just like water, getting sunlight on the skin, vitamin D exposure. It's like, well, maybe there's some things that we can do to actually improve the gaming performance. And I think you have to speak gamers' language. You can't say, oh, you'd want to put on a bunch of muscle. A lot of gamers would say like, no, I don't care about that. Like they really don't. They want to get good at the game, and and hey, more power to them. Like some people, we all have different interests. Some people want to put on muscle. Some people want to, be a librarian or be a marine biologist, or we all have different interests, and that's what makes the world pretty cool and fun. So more power to them if they want to be the world's best gamer. But let me get you on this track that might help that. And I think staying strong and healthy can help any profession, no matter what you're doing. I think whether it's business, whether it's, stocks, whether it's, this or that, hitting that just a short little something, getting a little sweat built up, getting outside, getting enough sleep and water is going to make the mind sharp. And then with the mind sharp, it's going to help anything. And that's the messaging, really. It's like making gaming a healthier space. But no matter what you're doing, this basic, easy stuff is really going to help out. The little things are going to really help out.
Dom, I'm actually glad that you brought up energy drinks, because we've kind of seen with the rise in esports that there are a lot of like energy drinks, energy supplements, nootropics that are targeted at gamers. Dom's kind of like our big supplement guy at Gifted. I'm interested to hear your take on kind of what these supplements are doing or are not doing for gamers and how they could actually be optimized.
Well, I think one of the big things they're doing is they're turning like a blind eye to the important stuff like nutrition and sleep and the stuff that a gamer should be doing. They're like, here, take this supplement and you don't have to sleep. Or if you didn't have a good sleep, take this nootropic. There's no caffeine in it, but it'll make you focus. So they're just trying to. I think they're just trying to they're just beating around the bush of like what actually needs to be done. And of course, with good marketing and stuff, they make it happen, which is sad. I mean, I like supplements, like as you guys know, but like I like supplements on the reason of what they should be used for supplementing, something that we don't have every day, but something like getting more sleep and whatnot, especially as a gamer. A lot of the time you're spending at home anyways, you should be able to get, your proper sleep and whatnot. But I think it's kind of sad with like how the supplement companies like just started doing this like recently, and they like went heavy at it because now every company has a nootropic. Like Redcon has one. Who else is making one? I think Derek is making one.
G Fuel has one.
Yeah.
There's one that's called like Maw Energy or something.
Yeah, there's a bunch coming out.
So I saw another streamer, Cargos. He's another TBC arena guy who does a lot of streaming. He was promoting the Maw Energy, and I was like, "Oh, Maw Energy. Let me go look at what's actually in this." And it is like arguably the worst formula that I've ever
Yeah.
seen in my life.
No.
Yeah, Derek from More Plates, More Dates. It's a bodybuilding like YouTube channel. He ripped it apart.
Oh, really?
Like, just ripped it apart.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
like I don't know, it was like 100 milligrams of caffeine and like some vitamin C, and it's like taking advantage of gamers that don't really know any better. But it fills a need when you're not doing the stuff that Josh is talking about. Like, yeah, you need that stuff to kind of fill the gaps.
Yeah, and I mean, from just to fill you in on my perspective, as a streamer, I get emailed probably like three
Josh
times
is
a
like,
week.
actually, I'm sponsored by Maw Energy. Please stop.
And
Please stop.
no, I haven't taken any of the sponsorships from nootropics or type of like energy drink companies. I get reached out many times a week from all these different companies that would love to have me talk about their product. The thing is, Dominic, you summed it up very, very well. I think the overall idea is that you can drink this drink and now you don't have to worry about the things that actually matter. And it's actually one of my frustrations, I guess, with the nutrition industry as well. It's really sad to see the nutrition industry, health industry, the way it is when it's all about fad diets and fad this and do this, when no one's talking about the basic stuff that actually matters, and these fads are like taking place of the things that actually matter, right?
Yeah.
And not to say some of the stuff, the more specific nutrition regimens or protocols might not be great for some people, but by and large, what really matters for people are the basic things, and people don't want to hear that. They want all these other little things, and I think it confuses a lot of people, and it does more harm than good. And I think energy drinks might fall in that same category. And once again, not to say they're all bad. I think using them strategically might even be advantageous. But personally, I don't drink any, at least right now. So I wouldn't necessarily want to promote any unless I really like the product myself. And Dominic, I think you summed it up really well. The things that are actually really, really, really going to matter are these basic fundamental things. Once again, movement, sunlight, water, sleep, proper protein intake, fruits and veggies, micronutrients, right? These and having some type of bonding and connection, that social connection, these things are going to make a difference in your overall well-being more so than almost anything else. And making sure that we have these pillars in place before adding in all these other unnecessary things from marketing is paramount.
Yeah. I always call those things like luxury supplements. Like, if you can afford them, go ahead, be my guest. But if you can't, it's not going to make or break anything. You rather have the foundation than, buying the fancy stuff without the foundation. You can't, if your house isn't built, you can't buy furniture to put inside of it. So why are
That's
you
a great
wasting
analogy.
money doing all that stuff?
Great analogy. I love that. Yeah.
I have a question. Have you had any streamers, or not streamers, any viewers like reach out and been like, hey, I've lost like 40 pounds, 50 pounds just from doing my dailies and things like that?
Yeah, so I sell a workout program that kind of shows people how to get to body weight training, and then we kind of scale every exercise to where that person might be starting at. And then of course they do your dailies, and hundreds, dude, hundreds. And that is what puts me on fire. Like,
that's
people
sweet.
saying they lost, I've had people lose like 150 pounds. Like, I've had people turn their life around from just me leading by example. And that's what gets me up in the morning. And I think that's what makes me excited to share stuff like this. And if there was no community feedback, once again, at the dailies, if I was like, hey guys, do your dailies, and no one really latched onto it, I'd be like, okay, let's time for the next idea, but we launched the program, the cookbook, the fundamental guide that we have for people to kind of just hop in and get started. Nothing so crazy, right? But the basics, really outlining the basics in clear language so people can see like, okay, this is what matters. Let's get into it, and inspiring them, getting that identity bit in place first so that they can stay onto it long term, has really, really been helpful for people. And that's what gets me excited, man.
So with that, the do your dailies thing, I think you touched on it a little bit, but where did that come from? Who did it come from? Did you have like business partners that you were working with, or is that just like purely a product of your own mind?
So I have one business partner, aka my fiance, and she helps me with absolutely everything. So the Do Your Dailies graphics, she drew them by hand, and we really brainstorm. We do a walk every day, and the walk is one of our favorite ways to just bounce ideas back and forth, see what's going on creatively, and all that kind of thing. So so the Do Your Dailies idea was a conversation we were having about a year and a half ago on our patio at our old apartment, and we were just kind of thinking. At this point, we I think we just launched the bodyweight program. We had the cookbook out, I think, at that point, and they're great products, but we were like, for a 12-year-old, right? They're not buying their own groceries. They're not. Maybe they don't even have like $20 to start on a program or something. Like they like, for a 12-year-old, what are the basic things that we would like to share, right? What, like something free, like we just the basics, like just do this if you want to get started. Or even if they're not 12, for the 25 or 30-year-old who isn't even ready to buy anything, they're not ready to even like really stick to something long term, but like they're interested just enough to where they're like, I want to take a little step in in a healthier direction. Where do I get started? Right. And the Do Your Dailies was the answer to that question. Where do I get started? You start by doing your dailies, the basic things. And the dailies are broad on purpose, right? One of them is move. I don't care if you go on a walk, or if you go for a swim, or if you go skateboard, if you go play basketball with some friends, or if that's lifting weights, powerlifting, strongman, body weight training. I'm not saying like you have to do this. Like, it's not complicated. It's not like line itemed of like, okay, well, did you do 30 minutes or did you do 40? It's like, just move, right? Just move, get out there. And like the sunlight thing, like get some sunlight directly to that skin. It's very healthy. I mean, don't get, sunburnt, or don't go crazy on it. But that sunlight on the skin is very important. Drink water, right? Like these basic things. And it was the answer to that question of like, a lot of people were like, dude, where do I get started? I don't want to hop on like this crazy program and learn how to handstand push-up. That's way too advanced. I just want to like, what are the fundamentals? And we were like, okay, let's get that out there as this idea. And I played WoW, and I was like, well, in WoW, you do your dailies to keep your character strong and healthy, right? You have to do your dailies to get reputation, so you can buy the best in slot gear. You need to do your dailies to make gold, so you could buy enchants. You need to do your dailies, maybe to network, so you can meet people or whatever it is, socialize. And I was like, wait a minute, you need to do the same thing with your real life character. And if you don't do that, you're going to deteriorate. And it's like the same thing. So I was like, okay, do your dailies. And then it was like kind of this silly piece of content we put out a year and a half ago, and then people started sharing it and then like reposting, and I was like, okay, I think we have something here. And now it's kind of something that I talk about all the time on the stream. We have Do Your Dailies like emotes, and it's all over Instagram and social media, and we kind of like to just remind people, do your dailies, and it's like this really fun way for gamers to understand, like, okay, yep, I need to take care of myself, and they do your dailies and then game, right? Get the dailies done, and then it's time for some leisure. So yeah.
Now the big question: your fiance, does she play?
She does not. She does not play WoW. Maybe one day we'll get her to hop it on. I actually think she would like Classic or TBC, like the older versions of the game, just like leveling experience through dungeons and questing. I think it would be a really fun time. So maybe one day.
This is like the classic story here. Like, gets a girlfriend, fiance, whatever it is. They start playing together. All of a sudden, Naj, the two's partner, he gets pushed to the side. He's the ostracized BFF, and in comes the fiance, big pumper rogue, to take his place. I can see this going down.
It could happen. It could happen, man. New main team. Yeah, Naj better watch out. Yeah, I don't know. So we met at the gym. So she was doing handstands. Like, it was like her first week. She was learning on the wall, and I was training handstands too in the same kind of area at the gym we used to go to. And, I went up because I was just like, oh, that's a pretty good handstand. How long have you been training, handstands for? And, I mean, it was magic from there, man. It was perfect. And,
Classic pickup line. Great
how long have you been doing
handstands.
handstands? Yeah. Well, she said it was only like a week or two. And I mean, I was like a lot better than my handstands at a week or two. So I was like, that's great.
So I'm interested to hear what are your dailies when you log in for the day, when you open your eyes, what are your dailies that you do?
I mean, they're the same as what I tell other people to do. I mean, I can get into more specifics if you would like, but the fundamentals are those same things. I'm making sure I'm drinking enough water.
There we go.
I'm going outside for a walk. Right now it's hot in Tucson, so we do our walks at like 5 or 6 a.m. so we can beat the heat. We socialize and talk, call someone, just like to get that connection. And what the connection bit here is really about not locking yourself in a dungeon of a room for a week. And I've been there, and it's really easy to let a week go by and not say hi to anyone, and not like, I mean, even come out of your room. It's just like this dark, like you're up all night sleeping during the day. And for people that aren't in the gaming, it might sound silly, but it's so normalized in the gaming culture of, yeah, just like stay in your room for a week. If you have a week off of school or work, you just like completely disregard everything else. And yeah, but yeah, the morning routine, might say a little prayer, meditate, or talk with Shannon and kind of get the mind right. We start with something called daily gratitude. And a daily gratitude is this practice where we're saying something we're grateful for. And we actually have a Discord channel called Daily Gratitude. We type it out, actually. Type out what we're grateful for. The community dives in and types what they're grateful for every morning. And it's something that really sets you on the right foot of like, okay, maybe stuff at work isn't going so great, or stuff in my, relationships, friends, drama, family stuff, whatever. But like, dude, I have a roof over my head, or like, I have clean water to drink from, or, it could be anything. Like I'm grateful for my mom, or I'm grateful for, a nice, comfortable bed, or I'm grateful for, the time I have to enjoy World of Warcraft with my friends, or, whatever is like the littlest things, but to begin the practice of having that gratitude, like actually saying it, speaking it, typing it, really sets the day on a different kind of foot, which is awesome. And yeah, besides that, I mean, we're eating right. We're eating a lot of fruits and veggies, getting adequate protein to promote lean muscle development, and we're drinking water, sleeping. Sleep's a big one. Sleeping 8 hours. I know that is like crazy for a lot of people. Like 8 hours, man. I can't get more than like 6 or 7. But like, I mean, for optimal health, the cognitive and within the body, getting that 8 hours is very important. And for optimal performance. And it's funny because a lot, like I think of like Arnold or something, clearly a goat, but they talk about like, oh, you can sleep when you're dead and stuff. But like, I'm definitely pretty opposite on that. I think 8 hours is pretty important. Yeah, just getting those basic things done, man. And then for me, we do the workout live streams, and then we might have some shows or meetings like kind of like this, with business stuff, and then we hop into gaming in the afternoon. And I mean, to be honest, these days I'm only playing a couple hours of WoW, and that's just in the evenings from maybe like 3 to 7. A couple hours. Play some arenas with my friends. We're live streaming that, and then we rinse and repeat. So that's the day.
I'm assuming you have someone who does all your video editing, right? You're not staying up late nights clipping stuff.
Yeah, I used to a couple of years ago, but I'm very fortunate to have an awesome video editor on the team working with me, getting that content out there, and he does a great job. Shout out to Nikki, and he does a great job like getting the most epic moments from the streams and putting them on the YouTube channel, and that's really, really cool. So we mainly are focused on the workout streams, the workout streams, the gaming streams, and then business opportunities around like daily stuff and social media, and that's kind of like the workflow for the day.
See, like I love this because I have friends, dude, that don't leave the room still to this day. Like one of my friends actually like missed his opportunity to go to med school because he was so locked into playing WoW. And
Ooh,
like
yeah,
Like there's some crazy stuff out there that like us three understand it. Like the rest of our team's not gonna have any idea what we're talking about. But like, like I have a cousin even that who introduced me to WoW. And there's times where he just is in the basement for 4 or 5 days straight. Dude, he comes upstairs and it's like a fucking, I don't even know, dude. It's crazy the way like he just can sit there for hours, days.
It's such a cliche, but and like people think that these stories are like ridiculous, but like it exists. And for someone like Josh to kind of disrupt that and say, hey, listen, guys, like despite the fact that that's the norm, and like you said, like it's been normalized, like that's not the way to go about it. It's not the way to go about it for like longevity in terms of your life. It's not the way to go about it longevity in terms of your playing career. It's the easiest way to burn out. And it's for sure not the best way if you want to perform at your absolute best in what you're passionate about, which is gaming.
I think this also is good for like maybe those people who were very serious gamers trying to transition into more of a normalized life where they have like, they're casually watching Czar's stream and then he mentions dailies. They look at it and, that might start their transition from heavy gaming to a little bit more fitness. And then who knows, eventually they just really trend away from gaming as much to more of a fitness lifestyle, healthy lifestyle. That's what I could see from it too.
The Lord's work, truly the Lord's work, sir.
Absolutely.
I think we were talking about it a little bit before we hit record, some off record stuff, but you did mention that there were some big future projects. Anything that you do want to divulge, maybe some teasers here that you want to throw out there about things that you are working on here in the future?
Yeah, well, don't want to expose it too much, but we'll do a little teaser of just do your dailies.
It's coming more.
So more is coming, but yeah, that's we're always working on stuff. There's other, we're working on apparel stuff too, which I guess I haven't really said on stream before either. So there's two things, but a lot of this stuff is we do like to get just right, meaning if we're working on something, it might not actually come out for 6 months, right? But there's always stuff scheming around here because we're always thinking about new stuff, and my fiance is definitely a big part of that. She really helps out with all that kind of stuff. So shout out to you, Shannon.
let's double up on that scheming. Let's put a bug in his ear here. Let's give him some bad ideas. So, everyone has seen it. Everyone who's a fan of the stream has seen it. It's like a competitive game, and maybe it's like a 1v2 where you pull off some crazy moves, and you get that signature Xaryu where woo baby
Woo!
Something.
Yeah.
There it is. Perfect. Now that's a great rush, right? But that is not a rush compared to, getting up on that stage and for real life flexing on them. You started in bodybuilding. Do you ever plan to return to that and take your competitive edge to the bodybuilding space?
Oh man, that's a good question. So I get that question a lot on the workout streams, and I know Bashira is always asking if I'm gonna be doing stepping on stage. To be honest, I don't plan to. It's not something that I'm super interested in, at least right now. Never say never, maybe at some point, but I've really been, at least these past couple of years, excited about functional fitness, excited about just learning more about my body, getting in different range of motion, working on mobility. I guess to be frank, my physique now isn't, I think, any more crazy than 3 years ago or 3 years ago. But what I can do in my body now compared to 2 or 3 years ago is night and day, right? Holding a planche, doing planche press, handstand push-ups, one-arm chins, pancake. I'm not quite there, but we're getting there. The mobility, it's working. So, pistol squats, shrimp squats, sissy squats, all these things, Nordic curls, all of these bodyweight exercises are something that a couple of years ago I wouldn't have been able to do, or if I did, I might have hurt myself, or maybe not have done it with very, very honest form. And I think getting closer and closer to that honest form and feeling really strong in these movements is something that I just love doing. Now, as you guys know, the downsides of that is that A lot of these exercises focus more on tendons, more on joints, ligaments, and a lot of the times they're closed chain movements. So they're not isolating as well as bodybuilding movements do. So for hypertrophy, as far as hypertrophy is concerned, the stuff I'm working on is certainly suboptimal, right? If I wanted to bodybuild, I think, and get the best results, I would probably do a little bit more isolated open chain movements and focus on developing muscle in particular areas. And for me, I'm more focused on what I can do in my body instead of how I'm necessarily looking. It's more about how I'm feeling and what I can do. So in terms of a bodybuilding stage, probably not, but never say never. My interests change sometimes. Maybe in a couple of years, I'll be like, I feel really good. Let's hop back into building some more muscle, right? And these things go in tandem. So yeah, never say never, but maybe
you
not the
might want
focus
to
right now.
You might want to stumble your way into a CrossFit class one of these days. Your pull-up game is strong. You're really good on your hands. All your gymnastics work is pretty ridiculous. You might be able to school some people over there.
Yeah, I've never done a WOD. I've never done CrossFit. I've seen a bit online. Do you guys know like the movement culture, Ido Portal style of movement? Are you
Not familiar.
No.
Do you guys know Conor McGregor?
Yeah.
Okay, so Conor McGregor, a few, I guess like 5 years ago, hired a movement coach, maybe longer than 5 years ago now. His name is Ido Portal. I think he's based in Israel, and he has this kind of movement culture. And this guy Ido has studied, man, like every discipline, right? So like gymnastics, like BJJ, wrestling, like dance, right? A lot of like capoeira movement practice style of training, and he's kind of learned from each discipline and taken and really kind of amassed what he calls like, I guess, movement, right? Movement culture. And he really, like 5 years ago when Conor was coming up, was coaching Conor and teaching him basically how to move the body in really efficient and really, great movement patterns. And then that's when Conor, was kind of doing his, and it's like kind of part of it, right? Like opening up the shoulders and being really fluid with the spine. That's where that comes from. And anyway, that's the type of movement culture. That's the type of stuff that I've really been enjoying training, bodyweight style. Of course, I still bring strength aspects into it. Once again, it's not just the only thing I do, but a big part of that. And I still like to do, weighted chin-ups, weighted dips, kind of like street lifting style is the closest probably terminology for that is street lifting. Although I've never done necessarily like a street lifting competition or anything like that. But to get right back to your other question, would I do a competition? If I did it would probably be closer to like a street lifting style competition. Max out weighted dips, max out weighted pull-ups. I think that would be pretty fun because I more than anything, I mean, I'm a body weight enthusiast, but I would call myself more of a strength athlete. And that strength can cross over to skills very, very nice. So for strength, yeah, weighted dips, that'd be fun. Maybe one day.
I think I would lump you in as more of like a physical culturist. You're more like broad as opposed to specialized in one area. You appreciate the physical nature of the body and what it can accomplish, the positions that it can get into and the strength that it can exert within those positions, as opposed to just trying to be as strong as possible or as big as possible.
Yeah, I would definitely call myself more of a generalist in that regard. As specialists that like we see hand balancers that spend all day working on hand balance, and that's awesome. But I love handstanding. I love it, but I don't think I could do just hand balance training, for say 14 hours in a week, like 2 hours a day. Like that would be exhausting for me. As much as I love being upside down, I mean, I still handstand every day, but I think I like to be a bit more, broad in that regard. And that's why I don't necessarily love the term calisthenics. I mean, calisthenic itself just means training with one's body weight. But I think calisthenic athletes a lot of the times are not super focused on mobility, fluidity, like a gymnast. They're not maybe training lower body as much, depending on the goal. And I think for me, I do like to be well-rounded in that regard. So like, training legs still, being mobile, being strong, being fluid with it. And yeah, that's why it's difficult when people say, oh, how do you train? It's like, well, how much time do you have for me to explain?
Probably similar when people ask you what you do for a living. So what do you do for a living? We're like, okay, sit down and let's get something to eat and we'll figure this out together.
Yeah.
So
what type of training do you guys like? What's your favorite style of training, Ryan?
So I started in bodybuilding, transitioned to Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting, and now I've recently started competing in CrossFit. So I'm kind of one that I've dipped in a lot of spaces. I like competition. I like competing, and I like stacking my physical fitness in one endeavor or the other up against others.
Super cool, man. That's cool how like we all start somewhere and then move along. Like it is something that's always kind of fluid and changing. What about you, Dominic? I'm curious.
I haven't moved anywhere.
Straight through
hypertrophy. That's all I do.
Yeah. Okay.
So
bodybuilding.
Dom competed. Stuff. When did you compete? You competed in bodybuilding. April.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
awesome.
Dom did. What was that? Your third show? Fourth show?
Third. Yeah. Third.
Something like that.
So cool, man. How'd you do?
I won.
He won.
He won. Let's go.
Rank 1.
That's so cool, man. That's really rad. Yeah, that's amazing.
So when we circle back to kind of the street lifting, very interesting. I've actually seen it pop up on my Instagram Explore page a couple of times now. Who's one WoW streamer that you think could give you a run for your money in street lifting? You already mentioned Bajira. Is it him just because he's such a burly boy?
Street lifting? So we're talking about weighted dips.
We're talking about
weighted pull-ups, weighted muscle ups. I don't know. I actually don't. Not to like. I just don't know. I haven't maybe seen everyone. There might be a lot of really strong, street lifting athletes on Twitch that I might not be aware of. And once again, I'm not a street lifting athlete at all, but I do love weighted dips and weighted pull-ups. So
hey, James Hollingshed is a streamer now.
Oh yeah, James bodybuilder. So this is Xaryu challenging everyone on the street on Twitch. He's saying, listen, I'm the best. No one can touch me. I'm the GOAT. I can take you in 2s, 3s, 5s, and street lifting. You know where to find me. Come get some. Not my words. Not my words. Those were his words.
Okay, there's different focuses of training, right? And there's different rep ranges of training. And if you're training in a 8 to 15 rep range, it's more focused towards hypertrophy. And if you're training in a rep range of 1 to 5, you're going to focus on power and strength. And that's just the way it goes. I just don't know if I've seen a lot of people do 1 to 5 rep range dips on Twitch. That's all I'm saying.
This guy knows his shit. You're like a exercise physiology textbook on the side.
Yeah, like I said, I do a lot of my research. I also did get my CPT recently, and just to have, I'm not taking any clients or anything like that, but I was just curious enough to want to get that, and I love this stuff, man. That's fun.
Right on. All right, let's bring it full circle back to gaming. What do you got planned moving forward? Are you going to buy into any of the New World Ashes of Creation Final Fantasy hype, or are you sticking with TBC retail, WoW for life? You're a loyal man.
So New World, I've seen played. To be honest, the PvP doesn't look anything too exciting to me. The thing about WoW, and I think a lot of people that have played WoW understand what I'm going to say. If you haven't played WoW, it's going to make no sense. But when you log in, the movement in the game feels incredibly fluid. The way you move your character, and I can tell if I'm going to like a game. So for me, I don't care about graphics. I don't care about music. I don't care about art. I don't care about any of that stuff in a video game. What I care about is the gameplay. And the gameplay is very dependent on the movement. I guess I'm more of a movement guy. And I really want to be able to move how I want to move in the game. And I can tell almost immediately logging into a game if the movement's good or bad. Or even just seeing it played, right? So when you press a spell, is your character just standing in place, casting that spell for 3 seconds, and you can't like spin around or move? Like in WoW, all of these axes are open. It's very, very fluid. Not impressed with New World's PvP. Looks pretty like a lot of the other MMOs we've seen come out. There's no focusing system as far as I know. The targeting system's a bit bland. It's kind of like you just shoot like guns at someone and you just aim at that. It just doesn't seem super great. So for PV, like let's get it straight here. I'm in some ways I'm not really an MMO player as much as I love PvP, like WoW arenas, right? So if I'm gonna play another game, it's gonna have to have incredible PvP, incredible arenas, or whatever they call it in that game. And New World doesn't seem like that. Ashes of Creation, Final Fantasy, definitely no. Final Fantasy looks like more of like role playing and a storyline, which once again, that's awesome if you enjoyed that. That's not me. I've never read a single quest in WoW. I skip over every cutscene. I've never watched a cutscene. I've never like read a quest. I just want to get into the PvP action, right? And so yeah, nothing out there that seems interesting to me, which might be surprising because there's a lot of stuff out there right now. There's another one where you click to move that I saw some people playing. It's not out yet. It's out in like Russia, but not out here. Shoot, can't remember the name, but that one actually looks kind of decent. So maybe I'll give that a try. The movement looks all right, and the spells look all right. I was watching Savix play it. Man, I can't remember the name, but yeah.
All right, well, look for that one too. Dom, anything you want to circle back to before we send this thing off into the sunset?
I think the one question I have would take too long, but I just, cause like we've done it. Like we went to school, we both have our masters. We did all that, but we made the decision to like not go the 9 to 5 route, not go to that kind of world. Like, when was that moment that you were like, I'm going to be a streamer. I'm going to make what I love my career?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question, Dom. Thanks for asking them. The moment was when I graduated college and I had, maybe some job offers. When you graduate college, you go to career fairs or whatever, there might be some opportunities lining up. And it was that moment of like, okay, so I graduated and I have 2 roads I can go down. I can, continue streaming, or I can do a more traditional path. And, it's 2016, I suppose, so 5 years ago. And at that time, I was making less money than if I were working at like McDonald's or something, really, on the stream. I would be doing better basically anywhere else. And the opportunities I had would have been like a lot more fruitful. But I kind of came to the conclusion that it is really what I wanted to do, is to create content. And on top of that, if I'm ever going to get it done, the best chance for me to do it is now, and now being 2016, when I already had an audience. I had momentum built up because I've been streaming. My first streams were 2012, so I was already streaming for 4 years at that point. But I was in school. I was taking finals. Like, it was just really back and forth. It wasn't like I couldn't like devote myself to streaming because I was in school. So it's like, okay, I can give my full effort and intention to just streaming for a little bit and see how that goes. And I'm young. I wasn't like super like committed. I didn't like have a family. I didn't like have all these things tying me down. So it's like, okay, I could like, now is my shot, or I can wait 5 or 10 years, do a traditional path, and then try. But in 5 or 10 years, I might have a family. I might have other responsibilities. I might have, mortgages to pay for, other things to worry about. And just like starting a streaming career, like stopping for 5 or 10 years, then restarting seems like a really, really odds are stacked against you. So for me, I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do it, now's the time for sure. I'm young. I'm, don't have a lot of responsibilities, and I can live off like $1,000 a month if I don't buy anything, like whatever. And so I just like was like, you know what, let's do it. Let's start on this journey, and then, hey, worst case scenario, I do it for 2-3 years, I fail. Now I can still get a job. It's not like the end of the world. Like, I can still start applying for stuff, and still go back the other way, right? And that's kind of what was really threw me in that direction of like, okay, let's give this thing a go. Let's go full time on this. And worst case scenario, we can course correct. But best case scenario, I'll end up doing what I love. And very, very grateful for these last 5 years.
Here we are, all of us doing what we love. It's a beautiful thing when you take a bet on yourself and it works out like that. I think it's interesting to hear that you were also streaming and not getting that big of an audience, or not getting the audience that you have now for so long, and putting in your time, paying your dues along the way. Most people, they get into streaming and they're like, all right, why the shit isn't my audience 100,000 people yet?
Oh, dude, totally. I mean, paying your dues, that's a great way to say it. Same thing with training, right? If you're not if you're not paying your dues, man, like patience, patience, patience. Like I streamed for months with like one viewer, dude, because I wanted to, because it was
Hey,
fun.
shout out to that one viewer. We still see you.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. There's been people from day one that would just like watch with like 1, 2, 3 viewers, and the key thing here is authenticity. I wouldn't have been able to stick to it if I didn't authentically love it. But I did authentically love it. So streaming with one viewer, 5 viewers, or even 100 viewers never bothered me because I loved just being there anyway. So yeah, I think staying authentic to yourself so that no matter what, you can stick through it. You'll have that perseverance when things get hard. And many years went by, and I leveled up the content. Leveled up the content. I think if you go to the content nowadays versus 10 years ago on my first YouTube video, like it's night and day. So I'm happy that I'm still here creating content, and it's getting better over the years. So that's what we're aiming for.
We just want to say we appreciate you, everything you put out, kind of the like we said, creating that fitness space within gaming is huge. You really are, and I don't want to make a joke out of this, but you really are doing the Lord's work and helping people out that really need it. And you're creating the content that lets them kind of ease into it without lecturing them. So we really applaud you for that. I want to say thanks for coming on. Anything you want to leave the people with other than maybe hashtag do your dailies?
Definitely that one. I want to say, yeah, thanks to you guys, Ryan and Dominic, for having me. It's been a really, really fun time. You guys reached out. I'm like, oh yeah, it's gonna be awesome. You sent me some questions. I'm like, oh, great. This will be super fun to talk about.
Dude,
so yeah,
I was fanboying so hard.
Yeah, no, right when you guys reached out, I was like, oh man, this will be perfect. So thank you guys so much for having me on. I really appreciate your time. And yeah, lots of stuff in the future with Do Your Dailies and just the messaging we're putting out there. And then yeah, being consistent with it. So more to come. Stay tuned. And yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
If you are interested in any of Josh's content, we will drop all of those links below so you can also do your dailies. Guys, as always, like, comment, subscribe, do that YouTube bullshit because the algorithm stays fucking your boys over here on this side of things. We will see you on the next one. And in the meantime, stay gifted. Peace.